The massive alien ship appeared in Earth's sky without warning. It hung there, dark and silent, for 3 whole days before making any move. People on Earth watched in fear, not knowing what to expect. Tom Miller was just an ordinary forest ranger who worked in a national park. He was not special in any way, except for his deep knowledge of Earth's creatures. While the world's leaders tried to figure out what to do about the alien ship, Tom went about his daily work, checking trails and watching for wildfires. On the 4th day, smaller ships came down from the big one. They landed in major cities around the world. From these ships came tall, blue-skinned aliens with 4 arms and fierce yellow eyes. They called themselves the Blades, and they were not friendly. Earth beings, their leader announced through some kind of translator device. We have studied your planet and find it suitable for our needs. Your weapons are primitive compared to ours. Surrender now, and we will allow some of you to live as our workers. The world's armies tried to fight back, but the aliens' technology was too advanced. Their armor could stop bullets, and their weapons could destroy tanks easily. Within 2 days, many governments had fallen. The Blades' leader, who called himself Commander Stone, made another announcement: to prove our superiority, we challenge Earth's strongest warriors to fight against our champion, Crusher. If anyone can defeat him, we will leave your planet in peace. No one believed them, but what choice did Earth have? The strongest and best fighters from around the world were gathered to face Crusher, a 9-foot-tall blade warrior with skin like metal and strength that could bend steel. One by one, Earth's champions fought and lost. Some were killed, others badly hurt. Hope began to fade. Meanwhile, far from the cities, Tom was still in his forest cabin, getting news of the invasion through his small radio. When he heard about the challenge, he thought of something that no one else had considered. They're aliens, he said to himself. They don't know about all of Earth's creatures. That might be our only advantage. Tom looked at the small glass container on his shelf, where he kept one of the forest's most dangerous residents for research purposes, a tiny brown spider. Tom stared at the small brown spider in its container. It was a Brazilian wandering spider, one of the most venomous creatures on Earth. A park visitor had found it in a shipment of fruit, and Tom had kept it for study instead of killing it. Now, this tiny creature might be humanity's last hope. Tom knew he needed to get to the alien challenge arena, but he wasn't a fighter. He would need help. He grabbed his phone and called his old friend, Jack, who worked as a security guard at a nearby military base. Jack, it's Tom. I think I have something that can beat the alien champion, but I need your help to get to the arena. You? Beat Crusher? Have you seen this thing on TV? It's like a walking tank. Jack replied. Trust me, Tom said. It's not about strength. These aliens don't know Earth's biology. That's their weakness. After some convincing, Jack agreed to help. The next morning, he arrived at Tom's cabin in a military jeep. This is crazy, Jack said as Tom carefully packed the spider container in a special box. Even if we get to the arena, how will you get close enough to Crusher? He kills anyone who comes near him. I'll figure that out when we get there, Tom replied. Right now, we just need to reach the city. They drove for hours, passing abandoned cars and seeing occasional alien scout ships flying overhead. The roads became more crowded as they approached the city, with military checkpoints and desperate people trying to flee. At one checkpoint, a soldier stopped them. No civilians allowed toward the city. Turn around, the soldier ordered. Jack showed his military ID. We have important information for the command center. This man is a biology expert with a potential weapon against the aliens. The soldier looked skeptical but let them through after calling his superior. As they drove into the city, they saw the destruction the aliens had caused. Buildings were damaged, and streets were filled with debris. In the center of the city, the aliens had constructed a large arena where Crusher defeated human fighters daily. "The next challenge is tomorrow morning," Jack said. "They broadcast it on all channels to break our spirit." "Then we have tonight to prepare," Tom replied. "We need to get me registered as a challenger." Jack looked worried. "You know they don't let challengers bring weapons, right? They scan everyone." Tom smiled grimly. "That's the beauty of it. They're looking for metal weapons, technology. They won't be looking for something natural, something tiny." Later that night, as they approached the registration area guarded by both human officials and alien warriors, Tom carefully transferred the spider from its container to a small, hidden pocket he had sewn inside his jacket sleeve. "Are you sure about this?" Jack whispered. "No," Tom admitted. "But what choice do we have?" The registration area was crowded with desperate fighters hoping for a chance to face Crusher. Most were military men, some were professional fighters, and a few looked like ordinary people driven by desperation. "Name?" asked a tired human official sitting behind a desk. "Tom Miller," Tom replied, trying to keep his voice steady. The official looked up with surprise. "Occupation?" "Forest Ranger." The official frowned. "This isn't a joke, sir. Crusher has killed 23 challengers already." "I know what I'm doing," Tom insisted. The official shrugged and handed Tom a form to sign. "Your funeral. Report to the holding area at 7 a.m. tomorrow." As Tom signed, he felt the small spider move slightly in his sleeve pocket. He hoped it would stay calm until the right moment. Tom and Jack found a place to sleep in a shelter near the arena. Neither man could rest well, knowing what morning would bring. "If this works," Jack whispered in the darkness, "you'll be the biggest hero in human history." "If it doesn't, no one will remember me at all," Tom replied. Morning came too quickly. At the holding area, Tom stood with 12 other challengers, the last group willing to face Crusher after days of defeats. Alien guards with scanning devices checked each person for weapons. When they reached Tom, the scanner hummed over his body. The guard paused at his sleeve, and Tom held his breath. But after a moment, the guard moved on. The spider was organic, not metal or technology, so it didn't trigger their scanners. The arena was massive, built in what used to be the city's central park. Thousands of people watched from makeshift stands, while cameras broadcast the event worldwide. Alien ships hovered overhead, watching. Commander Stone sat on a raised platform, looking bored as the first challenger entered the arena. Crusher stood in the center, his blue skin gleaming in the morning sun, his 4 arms flexing with power. The first fighter, a martial arts champion, lasted only 30 seconds before Crusher broke his leg and threw him aside. The second, a military special forces soldier, managed to dodge Crusher's attacks for almost 2 minutes before a powerful blow knocked him unconscious. One by one, the challengers fell. Tom watched carefully, studying Crusher's movements. The alien was incredibly strong and fast, but he had a pattern to his attacks. And most importantly, he liked to lift his defeated opponents close to his face before throwing them aside, a gesture of alien dominance. "Next challenger, Tom Miller," announced the loudspeaker. Tom stepped into the arena, heart pounding. The crowd murmured in confusion at the sight of the ordinary-looking man facing the alien monster. "This is your final warrior?" Commander Stone laughed from his platform. "A forest man?" Tom remained silent, carefully working his fingers into his sleeve pocket as Crusher approached, yellow eyes gleaming with anticipated victory. Crusher circled Tom slowly, confused by his calm demeanor. Most humans showed fear or tried to look brave before the fight. This one just stood there, hand in his sleeve. "Run, human. Make this entertaining at least," Crusher growled through his translator device. Tom didn't move. He had one chance, and it required Crusher to come to him. The crowd began to boo. They wanted action, even if it meant watching another human defeat. Commander Stone leaned forward on his platform, eyes narrowed with suspicion. "Fight," he ordered. Crusher charged forward with surprising speed for his size. Tom waited until the last possible second, then dodged, not completely, but just enough to make Crusher's swing glance off his shoulder instead of crushing his head. The blow still sent Tom sprawling to the ground, pain shooting through his arm. The crowd gasped, expecting him to stay down like most challengers after their first hit. But Tom knew his plan required him to stay conscious. He forced himself to stand, though his left arm hung limp at his side. "Interesting," Crusher said. "You have some training." In truth, Tom had none. But years of hiking rough terrain and occasionally dealing with dangerous wildlife had given him good instincts. He just needed to stay alive long enough for his real plan to work. Crusher attacked again. This time, Tom wasn't fast enough. A massive blue fist caught him in the chest, sending him flying backward. He hit the ground hard, the air knocked from his lungs. The alien champion strode toward him confidently as Tom gasped for breath. The tiny spider shifted in his sleeve pocket, agitated by the movement. "Now is the human custom of begging for mercy," Crusher said, standing over Tom. "No mercy," Tom managed to say between breaths. "Just a question." Crusher paused, curious. None of his previous opponents had tried to speak to him. "What question, small human? Do aliens have medicine for poison?" Tom asked. Crusher laughed, a harsh sound that echoed through the arena. "Your weapons can't poison me. My skin is impenetrable to your primitive toxins." "Not all toxins," Tom said. As expected, Crusher reached down and lifted Tom by his shirt, bringing him close to his alien face in a show of dominance, exactly as he had done with previous opponents. It was the moment Tom had been waiting for. With his good arm, Tom quickly reached into his sleeve pocket and grabbed the small brown spider. Before Crusher could react, Tom pressed the spider against the alien's neck, where the blue skin appeared thinnest. The startled spider did what came naturally, it bit. For a moment, nothing happened. Crusher didn't even seem to notice the tiny creature or its bite. He began to laugh again, holding Tom higher. Then the alien's yellow eyes widened suddenly. Crusher's yellow eyes bulged. His forearms began to tremble, still holding Tom above the ground. A strange gurgling sound came from the alien's throat as the translator device on his chest crackled with static. What is this?" Crusher managed to say, his voice distorted. Tom felt himself being lowered as the alien's strength began to fail. The venom of the Brazilian wandering spider was working faster than he had expected. Perhaps the alien's biology made it even more vulnerable than humans would be. "Just a tiny spider," Tom said, finding his footing as Crusher released him. "One of Earth's smallest predators." The crowd fell silent, watching in disbelief as the mighty Crusher staggered backward. The spider had already scurried away, its work done. Commander Stone stood up on his platform, his face a mask of confusion and rage. "What trickery is this?" he shouted. Crusher fell to his knees, all four arms now shaking uncontrollably. His breathing became rapid and shallow. The neurotoxin was attacking his nervous system, shutting down his body's functions one by one. "No trickery," Tom called out, addressing Commander Stone. "Just nature. Earth has evolved creatures with defenses you couldn't imagine. This is just one example." The alien guards rushed toward the arena, weapons drawn, but Commander Stone held up his hand to stop them. His eyes never left the suffering form of Crusher, who was now lying on his back, body convulsing. "What weapon did you use?" Commander Stone demanded. "Our scanners detected nothing." "Not a weapon," Tom replied. "A spider. A tiny creature that weighs less than a coin. Its venom is designed to kill creatures thousands of times its size. We have millions of such species on Earth, some even more deadly. The alien commander's expression changed from anger to something Tom recognized, fear. You said if anyone defeated your champion, you would leave our planet in peace, Tom reminded him. Will you honor that promise? The crowd began to stir, hope rising for the first time since the invasion began. On the ground, Crusher had stopped moving entirely. His yellow eyes stared blankly at the sky. Commander Stone looked at his fallen warrior, then at the human crowd, then back at Tom. For a long moment, he said nothing. The entire arena held its breath. Finally, the alien commander spoke, his voice carrying through the silence. The challenge was fair. The victory is yours. His words sounded forced, bitter. But know this, Earthman, we will not forget this. Tom stood his ground, despite the pain in his shoulder and chest from Crusher's blows. Neither will we, he replied. And we have more than spiders. The alien ships began leaving Earth's atmosphere that same day. Commander Stone kept his word, at least on the surface. The main ship remained in orbit, however, a constant reminder that the Blades might return. Tom became an instant worldwide hero. News stations showed his face everywhere, telling the story of how a simple forest ranger had saved humanity with knowledge instead of weapons. Scientists wanted to interview him about his understanding of venomous creatures, and military leaders wanted his insights on alien weaknesses. But Tom avoided the spotlight as much as possible. He returned to his cabin in the forest, where Jack visited him a week after the victory. You can't hide forever, Jack said, sitting on Tom's porch. The world wants to thank you. Tom shook his head. I didn't do it for thanks. And I'm not sure we've seen the last of the Blades. What do you mean? They left, just like they promised. Tom pointed to the sky, where the faint outline of the alien mothership could still be seen during the day. They're still watching us. Learning. Inside his cabin, Tom had been busy. On his walls were pictures of various Earth creatures, not just venomous ones like spiders and snakes, but others with unique defenses, bombardier beetles that spray boiling chemicals, electric eels that generate powerful shocks, frogs with skin toxins that could kill dozens of humans with one touch. I've been in contact with other biologists, Tom explained. We think the Blades will come back better prepared. Next time, they'll have protection against our venomous creatures. So what can we do? Jack asked. Keep learning, Tom replied. Earth has been evolving defenses against predators for billions of years. We have advantages the aliens can't even imagine. Later that day, a government car arrived at Tom's cabin. A woman in a dark suit stepped out and introduced herself as Dr. Adams from a special scientific division. Mr. Miller, we need your expertise, she said. We're establishing a new defense program based on Earth's natural weapons. You've proven that traditional military thinking won't work against these aliens. What are you asking me to do? Tom asked. Lead our biological defense research. Help us understand which of Earth's creatures might give us advantages against future alien threats. Tom looked up at the sky again, then at the forest around his cabin. Everything he loved about Earth, its diversity, its natural balance, its incredible evolutionary adaptations, was what had saved it. And might need to save it again. I'll help, he said finally. But we do this my way. We don't harm the natural world to protect it. That would defeat the purpose. Dr. Adams nodded. Of course. Your way is what worked against Crusher, after all. 6 months passed. Tom now led a team of 50 scientists at a facility hidden deep in a national forest. They studied everything from box jellyfish to poison dart frogs, from scorpions to toxic plants. The goal wasn't to create weapons, but to understand Earth's natural defenses and how they might work against alien biology. The blade's skin repels our bullets, but not our toxins, Tom explained during a briefing with military leaders. Their technology can block our electronics, but not a bombardier beetle's chemical spray. We need to think differently about defense. The research facility grew, adding sections for marine life, insects, and even microscopic organisms. Tom insisted that they study without harming the creatures whenever possible. He believed that respect for these life forms was key to learning from them. One morning, as Tom was examining a blue-ringed octopus in the marine lab, alarms began to sound throughout the facility. "They're back," Jack said, rushing into the lab. He had joined Tom's team as security chief. Multiple ships, bigger than before. The main alien ship that had remained in orbit was now joined by 3 more massive vessels. They positioned themselves around Earth, but didn't attack. Instead, a message was broadcast worldwide. Commander Stone's face appeared on screens everywhere. "Humans, we have studied your world further. We now understand your biological advantages and have prepared accordingly. Our warriors are protected against your venoms and toxins." The message continued, "However, we have also learned to respect Earth's unique evolutionary path. Your planet has developed defenses unlike any we have encountered in our conquests." Tom and his team watched anxiously as Commander Stone's expression changed from menacing to something almost respectful. "We propose an alliance instead of conquest. Earth will remain independent, and in exchange, we seek to learn from your world's biology to help us fight a greater enemy that threatens us all." The world's leaders were suspicious but intrigued. Over the next weeks, careful negotiations began. Tom was called to represent Earth's biological knowledge in these talks. At the first face-to-face meeting with the aliens, Commander Stone recognized Tom immediately. "The Spider-Man," he said. "You taught us a valuable lesson." "What lesson was that?" Tom asked. "That true strength isn't always visible. That size doesn't determine power. That wisdom can defeat force." Commander Stone gestured to the stars visible through the meeting room's skylight. "There are threats out there that cannot be defeated by weapons alone. We need Earth's evolutionary wisdom to survive what's coming." Tom looked at the alien commander. "Then let's start by sharing knowledge, not conquest." As humans and aliens began their cautious alliance, Tom couldn't help but smile at the thought that Earth's tiniest creatures had saved humanity and might now help protect the galaxy.